Alright, so yeah, I know it took me forever to kind of put this video out, but you know what? It's better late than never, so I'm just gonna jump right to it. Also, in case you're wondering, Josh, we're still in the summer. Why are you wearing a sweater or whatever? I just wanted to get comfortable, I guess. I don't know. It's been a pretty long day. So yeah, let's just kind of put it at that. So today we're gonna be talking about the Ninja Turtles toy line yet again. You know, my favorite. You know, why not? I mean, these new batch of Ninja Turtle figures has been like very fun for the most part. You know, it's a type of toys where you kind of want to buy the same figure a bunch of times, even though you really shouldn't. But then again, at least they're not heavy on the wallet either. Surprisingly, they still cost the same, like in past Ninja Turtle toys, you know? So, like, for an example, the price range was always like $9.99 or 9 something, whatever, like a $10 for a figure, basically. So cool. It's nice to see that they still kind of keep that aspect, you know, considering like how sort of basic these figures are, and even if they are pretty basic. Also, I don't know why the brightness went down. Let me just fix that a little tiny bit. Oh, I'm sorry, because my battery is low. Okay. Well, this is not going to be a... Hold up. Just thought I checked something real quick. Okay, now we're good. Okay. I'm just checking because I'm doing this... Not only am I doing this video pretty late at night, but I decided to do it right when my phone doesn't have too much battery, so I do apologize, but, you know, it is what it is, I guess. So back to what I was saying. The topic of today's video is how, for some odd reason, when it comes to this toy line, there's like a huge shortage of Splinter figures for some odd reason, and he was pretty much like the hardest character to find out of everybody. So for those of you who don't know, during my last toy hunt, I was finally able to get Splinter, which is great because he was the only character I was missing from the first wave. So of course, you know, and honestly, I just had to, even though I really didn't really have a purpose of doing it. But I feel like I just had to make a video talking about why is he so hard to find, and I went everywhere. I was like, is there like a controversy I wasn't aware of? You know, is something going on at the factories where they just didn't produce enough Splinter figures? Which it's always a possibility. You know, sometimes you get action figures that come out and it's like, you know, could be like any weird reason that they might not come out. And don't get me wrong, this is not the first time that this happened specifically with the Ninja Turtles, because even throughout their existence, they definitely had their fair share of issues when it comes to releasing their figures at a timely manner. And sometimes you'll even get like figures that get released when once their shows are over. And that sounds really confusing, but I'll explain it, in this video a little bit more better. But to kind of give you guys some context, of course, these are figures based off the brand new movie that just came out, I believe August 2nd, if I remember from the top of my head. And for the most part, it seems like it's Stitch Turtles. You know, it's bound to get like super popular no matter what. You know, so of course there's already talks of like maybe a possible sequel, and obviously the movie is very beautiful to look at too. The animation on it, and of course you can see sort of the effort kind of put into it, kind of opens it up. Not to mention the sort of approach they went with this film. You don't even have to like watch it to kind of get what they were going for. You know, like this is like a movie where the Ninja Turtles were like, not only voiced by actual teenagers, but they would kind of be, just like teenagers, but they're kind of like in the current time as well. So, they probably say like some weird stuff like sus and all that, which is like a current thing basically. That's not particularly something that people would say like a couple years ago. That's like a new thing. So this is definitely like a Ninja Turtles for this generation, and then on top of that, this is of course another one of those incarnations where Shredder is not the villain, and now you got like an entirely new character named Superfly, who leads a whole bunch of mutants, and of course the mutants is Bebop, Rocksteady, Ray Fillet. The list can go on. And for sure, the toys are they're always bangers for sure. They always find a way to kind of like give you that sort of pizzazz, even if they're not like the best action figures in the world. They're very good for what they are. Not to mention their price too. These figures are so fun. I mean, you can literally buy a whole bunch of the same ones, even though you really don't, you shouldn't really do that. But luckily, they're very cost efficient too, because their basic figures always costed like $9.99 or so. And so it's nice to see that they still kind of kept that, especially considering like the price increase in a lot of toys. So you kind of gotta look at it that way. But for some odd reason, out of all the figures, Splinter became like the rarest one to find, where no matter where you go, you could not find him at all. And obviously maybe there's like a kind of a certain pattern that goes on with this toy line that I just had to kind of talk about it. Now don't get me wrong, I could possibly, I'm probably leaving out some stuff. Maybe there are some things I don't know about, And admittedly, I haven't really seen the movie, but it's like what I say. Sometimes you have life stuff that kind of gets in the way. So, you can't really help it, but it is what it is for the most part. That doesn't mean that you won't be able to enjoy Ninja Turtles. Of course, obviously, there's plenty of ways. I mean, like, yeah, I got him posed up all nicely, and he's the fat rat. He got glasses on. He's voiced by Jackie Chan. He even got some arrows, which is pretty cool. You guys know I would definitely do a toy review of him, but I gotta review Mikey and Donnie first before I get to him. So I thought I'd kind of note that, and whatever. Mind you, these figures are pretty universal. You can buy them pretty much anywhere. Find them at Walmart, find them at Target. And of course they do have their fair share of exclusives. If you want to get the Turtle Tots, that's a Target exclusive. If you want to get the 2-packs or the Battle Packs, that's a Walmart exclusive. So yeah, you kind of got that very annoying, sort of like compilation thing where it's like, okay, if you want to be a masochist and collect every single figure from this line, no, you gotta like pretty much go everywhere. But for the most part, for the basic figures, for like the mainline ones, they should be easy to find, and so far they are. Basically, they're the type of figures where if you were to go out, you want to get them, but let's say you're not too sure, or that you don't have the money for, you're not sure if you have the money for it, even though they're pretty cheap. Luckily, you could go back, and most likely you will still be able to find them. They're those kind of figures, because obviously, when it comes to collectors today, the whole atmosphere of collecting as a whole is completely different. It's really not like before, where it was like super easy to find a figure. Now it really isn't. High and popular demand, and then of course there's the quantity of figures that come out too, and it's like, yeah, not everyone's gonna be able to get these figures, but it is what it is. I mean, we try, of course. I mean, I'm happy that I was able to complete the first wave, and yes, first wave, because apparently there's also a second wave coming, but we don't know when, or what set time they're set to come out, but you get the point. So what I really want to talk about today is maybe, just maybe, it could be like maybe like a company or a factory thing kind of going on, where maybe they just didn't have enough Splinter figures to kind of put out. And I've definitely seen it in a lot of people's toy hunts, and of course, even including mines. If you watch mines, I go Target or whatever, and it's like, yeah, if no Splinter, they got everybody else, every other character you could think of, from Bebop, Leatherhead, yeah, even the 6-pack I talked about, in the last talk video. I'm pretty sure it was the last. Yeah, I think it was in, the one with April that came in that 6-pack, with also with that Bebop cover in ooze. Yeah, So it's like, how come that those are apparently easy to find except for Splinter, right? So I try to think of the rundown, because obviously this is not the first time Playmates have kind of fumbled with their releases. So it even dates back to the original toy line, where you definitely had like your fair share of figures where people didn't even know they existed, because there's just that many Ninja Turtle figures. Heck, even like as of like this year, like I still discover new toys based off of the old toy line. Even Ninja Turtles: The Next Mutation, to a certain extent. It's like, wow. And then of course that's not counting the unreleased ones, obviously. I'm talking about the ones that actually did got released. And then of course there was the whole situation they had for when the original cartoon did end. The toy line was still going on, but it definitely had their fair share of figures that kind of went under the radar, and those figures consisted of Hotspot and Scratch, which both became extremely, extremely rare figures to find. And if you want to find them mint and still in their card, you're going to be paying well over thousands and thousands of dollars for them online. So, of course, everything is about timing, obviously. In that situation, because the cartoon ended and that the toy line was a little bit stuck, because obviously they didn't really have the cartoon to kind of support it. It makes sense that they wouldn't really have they probably didn't want to produce that many figures, and then they end up being shelf fodder, you know what I mean, or shelf warmers per se. But you get the point. And then of course, this is honestly not the first time. I can't. I'm not saying that this is the second time or the third time, but definitely for sure, even with the most recent incarnation of the Turtles that had that issue. So of course, we all had the short-lived rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon. Lasted about at least 2 or 3 seasons, and of course, it was like the most different cartoon out of the bunch, and it definitely had its fair share of action figures that came out. But the thing is, though, they did came out when the show was still on, but then when the show pretty much ended and it wasn't on the air no more, yeah, some of those figures did manage to kind of stay around until they pretty much disappeared. And of course, some of those figures consisted of, Shredder, you know, the Hypno, the hippo. Honestly, I can't remember his name. It's like Hypno something. He's a hippopotamus, basically. I can't even pronounce it. And some of the variants of the turtles too, like Donatello. He had like this one with the jetpack, and then the one with the kind of spider arms. I think one of them had like a wrench or so, and it was pretty interesting, cool. It's like you kind of wanted those, but again, they weren't really out there that long, and they pretty much disappeared pretty quickly. What I'm assuming is that maybe in the situation of this new film, maybe it was the complete opposite. Maybe these figures were meant to have a certain set time to be released, and even though they did, obviously not every figure was available to find. Like, yeah, you weren't gonna find Rocksteady or Bebop or some of the other turtles that quick. Obviously, when I first found these figures for the very first time, I even filmed the toy hunt. The first figures I was able to get was Leonardo, Donatello, and then Leo with his bike. And I even still have it up here right on my desk just to kind of show you guys, some proof, you know. And of course, you could argue that, some stores they just didn't have that many figures, or like maybe they did, but they sold up pretty quick. There's a whole bunch of different, reasons too behind it. So it's like, okay, it's always about, it could either be a timing thing, a production thing, I don't know. But the fact that I managed to find this figure so late too, you can't help but kind of question too, like the releasing. Like, okay, maybe popularity. People are gonna want to buy most of the turtle figures first before the villains. Let's be honest here. But like, why wouldn't you want the dad figure though? Why wouldn't you want Splinter? I mean, is there like I've mentioned before, was there like some other thing kind of going on? Maybe something that we're not aware of, or maybe something I wasn't aware of. And don't get me wrong, even the films itself have managed to kind of garner like some controversy, but most of it's obviously extremely dumb and was just something that a lot of anti-SJW channels kind of cooked up because they got nothing better to do. I even mentioned it too within my last video when I was talking about the April figure, where people got kind of butthurt that she was race changed and that she went from being black, instead of like the white chick that everybody knows. But it's like, for a character like April though, she's the type of character where she's definitely gone through a lot of different incarnations, but she still kept the main like sort of idea of her character, where she discovers the turtles, gets along with them, becomes their ally, and there's stuff like that. So I don't. The whole race thing was just so stupid. It's like, why even get upset over that though? It's not like that was like a big huge like overarching thing. It's not like they make a big deal out of that in the movie. The movie is still about the four turtles, fighting against these weird ass bad guys. You gotta look at it like that. And of course, Splinter in this incarnation, he's extremely old now. He's like, you know what I mean? I mean, he has a cane. Not even. He has like two extra ones too, and they're both even like knives. So you gotta take that to consideration. So there is like multiple different reasons, honestly, for why this figure took so long to kind of get out there. And I heard some people say that if you want to find them, your best bet is to go to Kohl's. But there is no Kohl's where I've lived, so screw that. Maybe they're easy to find online. I don't know. I was able to get all my figures in stores, so you gotta look at it like that at least. At least they're not like extremely hard to find. But again, there is that weird pattern of like releasing figures and then some weird crazy thing happen, whether they get released really late or just simply too early. So you never know. That's probably what happened. But yeah, I mean that's about it. Something else. And like I say, eventually I will do a review of him, of course. So just to kind of give you guys I guess a quick little preview of how he looks. I mean, he looks like a rat for sure. The fact that he's voiced by Jackie Chan, that's like, all right, that just makes it even better. He got the old glasses, just like Donatello, because Donnie got glasses too. Pretty cool for the most part. But yeah, so until then, hang in there. Because this is definitely kind of a busy week for me, for pretty obvious reasons. I probably mentioned it, with college and stuff. Yeah, so I'll eventually pump out a video. I do want to do a video kind of discussing like what's going to happen for the future because I'm going to be a little pretty busy with life now. So, Yeah, and then of course there's the discussion over like me bringing back my gaming content back because that's something that I still want to look into. And according to my poll, at least 75% of people are interested. So it's like okay, so we'll get a video on that as soon as possible. So until then, hope you guys stay safe out there as always. Leave a like and subscribe if you want. And that's about it. So see ya.